to 108, around the corner from Lock, Checking up on my youth cause I'm responsible for my flock, Out here chasing that paper, getting that fetty, stacking that guap, Right now keep cranking that music and filming cause we in the studio high, You might not know but I'm here on my mission to
the
stack
quote
my
unquote
visions.
real ones, you know what I'm saying? The women for obvious reasons, they were feeling what they were feeling, and then the brothers for obvious reasons were feeling what they were feeling. And then it cascaded where people who were not mindful of why the people that they look up to were feeling this way, they started getting the information. So he impacted the impactful.
How can we not have the children all over the world? How can you not have the children in need? How can you not spend the love when it's free? How can we sit back and watch men die? From no dirty water they drink to survive.
My father's primarily African-American base. You know, our lineage runs through the north all the way down into the south through Louisiana. My mother's side, her people are from St. Croix in the Virgin Islands, and her people from the Virgin Islands go from Antigua to the Congo. So I know my matrilineal African descent side, my patrilineal African descent side goes to Benin and the Togo. So there's a lot of African spirituality, you know what I'm saying, when you go back to both extremes, because you got Benin, you got the Congo.
Wow, so that explains the deep richness of history that you and your brother always share with us, you know?
Yes, and also, yeah, you know, what you normally see us positioning for in this particular walk, like I said, because my father's people are primarily, you know, you have your parents and then you have your grandparents and you got your great-grandparents, right? So we hear these things and we have negative reactions where I say, okay, well, from my father's side, I could go a one route and go all the way up to the Shinnecock and the Montauk, and these are the indigenous people in Connecticut who are primarily melanated, okay? Anytime that I say indigenous and we talk about, and people think about Indians, they think about Tonto and the Western Plain Indian. That's not who I'm talking about. I'm talking about people that look like Snoop Dogg, okay? Yeah. Them my folks. So I was growing up around, you know, I was going to powwow and seeing that indigenous aspect of what melanated people look like in the furthest aspects of the North when I was young. You know what I'm saying? But that family line also traced down to the South, and they were very much, you know, proud about their quote-unquote black heritage. So I've always been exposed to a mixture of such. And then when I was 5, I went to St. Croix with my mother, and I got in contact with the Caribbean aspect of myself, and I was climbing trees to get coconuts. And then we met Dr. Sabia, you know, on the top of a mountain in the rainforest in St. Croix. So I just been around, you know what I'm saying, those different aspects, but I was always raised around parents who had a deep appreciation for the African roots, and, you know, the history was always present. And Dr. Sabia primarily, you know, he was a fearless man. There's nothing that he wanted to do as an individual that he spoke about barriers. He never complained about the white man. He never identified them being able to stop him from doing anything. I saw more resistance from the black community than anybody else.
Well, speaking of black people, man, you know, I'm one to speak about the glass being half full versus half empty. Like
Yes.
we all know what the problems are. We all know what we tend to do and why we can't do this because we, you know what I mean? What the positive things that are happening? What are some of the key things that each individual? What's the best way for each black person to do a part that's going to help advance the culture forward?
I mean, yeah, and those things are integral because, you know, what worked for me primarily is that when I really got a grasp on who I was and why I was, then that's information that you want to spread, you know what I mean? And, you know, if you're used to living your entire life cocooned up, you dig what I'm saying? And you learn that you got wings, then the next thing you know, you want to spread those wings and you want people to see your feathers and things of that nature. So us getting into the cultural aesthetics and the appreciation of who we are, you know, whether it's through fashion or information or just different ways that we express ourselves, those are ways, you know, that you can initially start helping, you feel me, by people looking and then asking questions and making inquiries to be like, what's that? And, you know, like my jewelry, people ask me about my jewelry. this stuff gives me the opportunity, you know what I'm saying, to have teacher moments. As simple as that. It's sometimes something as simple as that, you know, whether it's the jewelry or the fashion, you know what I mean? Then you can redirect them to the internet where you have your information at, and now then they down a rabbit hole, you know what I mean? Next time you see them, they got 100 questions for you. You feel me? And then now you have developed, you know, a level of interest and intrigue in these particular individuals that they start researching and start finding themselves in the information, then you can't stop them. Then they become zealots.
It's like Dr. Ivan Van Sertima, he says it's in your DNA.
It's in your DNA.
The more you feed it, it becomes a source.
You can start unraveling, you know, and you find your power source. And power is addictive, right? You know, they say that absolute power corrupts absolutely, right? So there's something very magnetic and addictive about it. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna pull towards it, you're gonna gravitate towards it. And it's the same thing with this information. I make sure the information looks good because I know that's what the people or the youth in particular they're into, right? They wanna look good, they wanna feel good. You know what I'm saying? They want to feel good about the history, even though all of it is not rosy. You dig what I'm saying? So I just find ways to speak the language of the people who I know who I'm communicating with.
Probably about almost a year ago, you know, we had the death of Brother Nipsey Hussle.
Yes.
So, and a shockwave reverberated through the community across the world. It seemed like the whole diaspora felt it, man. Can you explain? Can you explain your observation? Was it a shift, or just kind of give me in your words what that energy that went, and the message that
I could give you the plain Jane explanation, and then
give me the real, bro.
I'll give you the esoteric, metaphysical, you know what I'm saying, observation and explanation of it.
Smoke cocaine. Have you ever seen the whole thing? But you drove to the streets cause you grew up on show change. Fucked up when the dope bag.
My initial observation of the Nipsey effect, right? Let's call it that. It's almost likened to, you know, the ripple effect. You feel me? So the effect is always going to be felt strongest where it's localized at. You dig what I'm saying? Because we're a global community now that exists online or social media, it's no longer, you know, we can't even say where local is. So it impacted his direct community, right? But because of social media, it reverberated globally, right? Because where we were all localized at in our particular locations, we felt it, and then people around us felt it. And then the next day when I woke up, right, which was April 1st, and I just saw it just cascading into something that was reverberating, and it was hitting the quote unquote real ones, you know what I'm saying? The women, for obvious reasons, they were feeling what they were feeling, and then the brothers, for obvious reasons, were feeling what they were feeling. And then it cascaded where people who were not mindful of why the people that they look up to were feeling this way, they started getting the information. So he impacted the impactful, right? And the people who are impactful always have, you know, the masses underneath them that are looking up to them, you know what I'm saying, or tapping into, right? People come to social media to find out, shit, what are we running with this week? How should I feel? They're coming for their instructions and their dictates. What are we mad about this week? How should we feel? What are we feeling about? You know, who's getting canceled? I mean, people wake up and look on their social media so they could get in line and, you know, follow that particular thing. But I think that genuinely the brother resonated and he hit a note in people's hearts, because the people who are doing the research, right, online now, they're looking at his interviews and they're saying, whoa, this is not your typical gangbanger, right? So now his value goes up in death, right? After his life, his value goes up because now people are able to see him, right? They're able to see him, unfortunately, in death. While the man was alive, they weren't able to see him for whatever reason. I don't know if it was too many rappers running around with face tats. I don't know if it was too many rappers running around with braids. I don't know what it was, but for whatever reason, the masses were not able to see this individual at the time of his life, but rather he became that much more visible in death. And these are the reasons why he was able to in symbolism, for the most part, he was able in symbolism to find some sort of similarity with the story of Jesus, if you will, or the Christ. Now let's walk this, right? Because this is something that has people in their feelings. The man comes, right, into a knowledge of himself, and he's able to transcend what we typically say is the two en route to that lifestyle, either the grave or jail for life. And we're talking about, you know, the lifestyle being gangbanging. So this individual we see in real time was able to transcend that particular that sentence, if you will, right? And not only was he able to transcend that sentence in his personal life, but he had made provisions for himself to say, look, I'm going to go back in that community and save others, right? So what's the definition of a savior? Somebody who does it for themselves, and now you're able to go outside and replicate that for other people. So you have a working model, right? Or you have enough influence on people that instead of sending them in the wrong direction, you could convince them to go in the right direction. And at a time in which, you know, everybody seems to be waiting on some savior to come out of the sky, or people are looking for direction, they identified this brother as being, right, someone who's going against the grain. In his peer group, there are not too many people that were willing to do what it is that he did with their influence. There are not too many people who are willing to take their own money and refinance, you know, or reinvest, should I say, in the hood. There are not too many people who are willing to put their lives on the line for the good of humanity, rather than to say, look, I'm doing this shit in service of evil. You know what I mean? I'm doing this shit in service of, you know, the lower energies or the lower forces that get so much good press on this planet. So the brother, he resonated, and he struck a chord because of that, because of his sacrifice, right? In these biblical times when we're living and we're waiting on a savior, when we're looking for signs and things of that nature, here comes this brother, you know, unfortunately, who finds himself passing at the age of 33, and all of his things just lining up. The fact that, you know, he made transition in the spring equinox, you know, when we know the story, right, the astrological story of Jesus is actually being acted out in the cosmos. You know what I'm saying? His brother hit all of those particular chords. You feel me? And like I said, for whatever reason, just like the story of Jesus, Jesus wasn't seen until he made transition. You know what I'm saying? And then the people made, what do we have amongst us? And we lost. I want to get into worship mode. And it's the same thing. It's the same thing that happened with Malcolm. Same thing that happened with Martin. It's the same thing that happens with the great ones. You feel me?
I had a conversation with some spiritual brothers. I'm not going to talk about their denomination.
No problem.
They seemed like they had a problem with Malcolm being looked at as a prophet, or Jesus being looked at as a prophet, or
of course.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Felt like,
because whatever denomination they belong to, they're into their prophet primarily. So they prophet hating, right? they get prophet jealous, like, oh, two prophets can't fit in one car. It's like a passenger seat, and it's two seats in the back. It's more room for than just one prophet. You know what I'm saying? Like God don't send no more messengers. He just cut it off at your last one. So, you know, you got to deal with that with people. You feel me? But here's my thing. Messengers and prophets come to the downtrodden and the forgotten, right? Where the hell is the prophet that comes to these people and these children out here? Ain't none of them. Ain't no prophets coming. These children have been forgotten. They're downtrodden. You dig what I'm saying? And someone such as a Nipsey speaks their language. He comes from their culture. He walks on the same streets that they walk on. This is someone who they can relate to, who can reach them directly when everybody else has forgotten them. Understand? So yeah, that's why we identified him as such, because, you know, you can't forget people. The people need somebody. You know what I mean? They need somebody to talk to. And if you keep telling me that the street organizations are our warriors, then that means that they're the strongest amongst us. How you gonna forget your strength? You dig what I'm saying? So if they're the strongest amongst you, and this person is genuine enough of a character. I'm talking about since I know him from 07 to 08. He was communicating with Bloods. He always crossed the lines of what people would typically put you in a box and be like, oh, you're from the rolling 60s. You can only go here and go there. And it's bad enough he had physical injunctions on his movement, but that didn't stop him in his mind from saying, look, I'm going to transcend this and go outside of my box. He literally lived inside of a box. You know what I'm saying? Because he couldn't perform in LA, couldn't get his radio played, he couldn't go to other neighborhoods. The police was this and the police was that. So this is somebody who really went against the construct of barriers and broke outside of that and was able to transcend and achieve greatness in one lifetime. So I'm just like, let's recognize the real when we see it. Let's recognize people that are great and acknowledge people's greatness. It's not taking nothing away from you. It's actually putting you in line for your greatness once you acknowledge the greatness of somebody else.
Beautiful, man. Another thing I want to talk about, I think you captured that well, man. What you think? Before talking that talk. Tyler Perry.
When it's time to ride, you loading up, cause you a reflection of me, shawty. I'm taking chances, you taking chances.
He was able to do something that Cosby, Oprah didn't do, in my opinion, because he made money. He made his money independently.
Yes.
Whereas the others made money off the establishment. So they, the establishment, I don't want you helping out your people like that. That's my take on it. What's your take on Tyler Perry and the big studio that he now has that he recently invited, all the black stars to?
I was very much in support of what I initially saw, because I knew what it meant outside of how we feel about him as a man. You know what I'm saying? I've spent enough time around actors and in the movie industry to know that there's nothing that has been created that caters to the sensibilities of, black actors or different personnel from within the industry. So I was like, yo, I acknowledge the fact that they finally have somewhere that they can call home. You know what I'm saying? They have somewhere that they can call home. A lot of people, for whatever reason, from the entertainment industry, they come from those lifestyle choices. So even with him and his lifestyle choices, that coincides with their lifestyle choices. So that's really home for them. You know what I'm saying? What I did say to myself is the only way that we're really gonna know how effective this is when we kind of see the material that comes out of the studio. What use does it make if you got a studio but you making the same nigga content that comes out of Hollywood? If you're making the same propagandized content, it's even worse because you got your own place. Who you gonna blame it on now, right? Because the rappers, they love blaming, they got Baphomet in their videos and they got satanic shit, right? But then they be like the most Jesus-loving artists in the world, and they either blame it on the stylist or the director, right? Oh, I didn't put that video together. It wasn't on me, right? So it's the same thing with the content, the Hollywood niggas at this point. I'm like, who you gonna blame? If you're saying this is an independent studio, right? If you're saying that you're controlling the narrative, why do you have the alternative lifestyle coupling in your content? Why this little child gotta have two daddies and stuff like that? You dig what I'm saying? So, and that's a whole nother conversation. That's neither here nor there. We gotta talk about it at some other point in time. I seen Tyler Perry's programming. I saw the Oval, right? That's that's the episode that he has based on a mixed couple in the White House. And my thing ain't about the couple being mixed. It's about how he portrays that black woman in that series, and all of the black people for that matter. You know what I'm saying? Did it in that series. So I'm like, if this is what we're gonna get coming out of that studio, you might as well shoot that shit down in Pasadena or whatever else they got studios out here, because Culver City or wherever they do programming at,
no difference.
Ain't no difference. So I'm like, if you got the power to control the narrative and your narrative is still debased, You dig what I'm saying? There's something wrong with you in here. I don't care how much money you got. I don't care what you build. You feel me? Until you fix what's going on in here, we just gonna continue getting high production confusion. That's it. Right? HD confusion. Confusion in HD. Right? So what's the difference? The pixelation is better. That's about it.
Yeah, that's it. The proof is in the pudding. So we
You good, T-Minus?
Kapernick, Jay-Z.
What part of it? Because that's drawn out too.
People that are faithful to Jay-Z are hoping, like, man, I hope he's doing something that maybe we don't see, that's leveraging, or maybe other people feel like Jay-Z always been about the money. He's making a business move. He just did it.
Big bank take little bank. You know what I'm saying? I think that Kaepernick started a wonderful conversation in this country, but any conversation that's based on social injustice has a bag attached to it. Case in point, I remember I used to meet with a lady who, she was like the queen of what do you call them joints? She helped people put together the non-profit, how to get money.
501c3?
Yeah, how to get money. If you got a non-profit, she's a grant writer. So she was the first one to tell me, she said, anytime something is a hot button topic of the year, the next year, the money's coming. You feel me? It's gonna be $1 billion on the table. So she was like, learn how to get, become a social justice warrior, right? Get into social entrepreneurialism. That's what she told me about 6 or 7 years ago. She said the future is going to be in social entrepreneurialism. She said all of these hot button topics on TV, especially on the news, they're going to have budgets attached to them next year. So I think that Kaepernick started a conversation and did not realize that it was $1 billion conversation. You know what I'm saying? And he was able to get compensated for his pennies or what have you, but I don't think that he fully fleshed out the conversation where he was getting to the bag, where Jay-Z and them come along and obviously they see us $1 billion left on the table, you know what I mean? And they're like, look, we're gonna joke for the bag, as all hustlers would. So I think that Jay-Z's utilizing a new hustle to ultimately position himself into politics, and you know what I'm saying, as an entrepreneur, he has every right to do so. He's going to position himself, his friends, and his family to be in a power position. Look for them to invest in that stadium that they building over there. What is it, in Inglewood or something like that? That's where it's going to happen. I'm telling you a prediction. They're going to get into real estate. He's going to tie his funds, right? Because every billionaire want to be a $10 billionaire, right? Because he's broke. He's in a room with 100 billion people that got $100 billion and he got $1 billion. He's a little kid, you know what I'm saying? The new kid on the block. So he has to strategize and figure out, how can I turn my 1 billion into 10 billion? And guess what? You know how much blood is on the floor on your way to $1 billion? Huh? Can you imagine how much blood you gotta leave on the floor on the way to 10 billion or something like that? So he could package it and promote it, and present it as pretty as he want to be. But we know what it is. Kaepernick has not yet figured out what it is, because this is not the game that he plays. You know what I mean? Kaepernick could have made something happen for this black community right here, dealing with the NFL in that stadium. You know what I mean? You can leverage, you can utilize these moments, these talking moments, these celebrity moments. You can utilize it, to play chess. You know what I'm saying? We don't have no chess players out here. So it's just, what we're looking at is real sloppy. And I just like, what would our heroes of the 60s and the 70s do with this much access, this much leverage, and this much power? You feel me? So yeah, man, just for the, stay focused. You know what I'm saying? The future's amongst us, 2020. Have a plan for yourself, your family, and your community. Ultimately, that is non-inclusive of help from other people and other outside forces. Really become the powerhouses that you were born to be. You know what I mean? the lineage from which you all, the spring from which you all derive from, is one in which power is within your grasp. It's time to start grabbing. Peace.
And your diamonds like tap water, that drip way too foggy. These VVS is way
Both got the blues on, you know.
Hey, how are you?
Good, I'm great.
So Kennedy, just introduce yourself to him. Let him know
Well-
he's from New York.
Okay, well, I'm Candida,
Okay.
farmer, Ohio/LA native,
Now you see this.
you know.
Every time I meet somebody from either Ohio or Chicago, they're transplanted in another city, but they're in that city doing their thing. You dig what I'm
Of course,
saying?
Yeah, yeah.
What is it about people from the Midwest, women in particular, because you don't go too many places and meet women that have come from other regions, have made it on their own, and they like, look, I ain't got nothing to go back to, so I had to make it happen.
Right.
Maybe that's the thing. What is it?
No, my story was a little different.
Okay.
Well, my mother came here in 1977. My mother's a jazz artist and singer.
Okay.
So I actually grew up around the industry all my life.
Central Avenue, was that still open back then? Because I always hear about it.
Was it Central Avenue?
People tell me they like Central Avenue. This was like Harlem of the West and all of the jazz and yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I grew up from Nickerson Garden. I mean, we were like gypsies because my mother came from Ohio. She couldn't afford the rent. So wherever there was low income, we lived. Like from the jungles to the Nickerson Garden to the Avalon Gardens. But
you
during
done been
all
there.
those places, because my early childhood mother, she did drugs. The way I took care of me and my sisters was to hustle soda pop bottles, collect them, and braid hair in the building.
Okay.
Days that she couldn't wake up. So I think through that and just through her teaching me, everything as far as being in the industry has helped me guide my way, and I married a gangbanger, ex-husband who's serving life in prison. We lived on the run for 9 years, so I've had a very vivid life.
Very.
Very,
I got
very.
it. I got you.
So,
You were doing hair on the run?
oh yes,
Okay.
Yeah.
This is interesting.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Did hair and everything. Established a big
Look,
clientele and everything.
And this is what I'm talking about. Tyler Perry.
Yeah.
Let's bring some of these real stories to the camera. Let's bring
Yeah.
some real stories to life.
So I kind of grew up all over LA, braiding
Okay.
everybody hair. I had a beeper for braids when beepers first came out. 1-800-BEEP for Candy Braids. And that's how I
That's
met my
so legit.
ex-husband.
A beeper for braids.
That's how I met him because my beeper kept going off.
Yeah.
Because he was like, "You curb serve?" I said, "What's that?" Because I didn't know what
Yeah.
raised Joe Witness. I didn't know nothing about the streets.
Right.
So he saw a young girl that had a hustle, and he said, "I want her." And that's how he snatched me up, and that's how I got out into that world. But I had a 1-800-BEEP for braids. Braided everybody in LA. I've always been Rolled Wheel skating ring. I was that kid.
Right.
Cerrito skating ring. I'm a skating ring kid. Reseda
right,
skating
right.
ring. Compton skating ring.
All the skating rings.
All skating rings.
Okay.
All the college parties. I was just always there. I've always been very prominent in the city, but also quiet at the same time. So I grew up all over LA.
So ask him what he do.
Now, what do you do, sir? But connect people. I believe I just met a connector here.
Yeah, I think.
And a generator.
That would be the best way. I connect people and.
Yes.
Yes, it's very difficult. When people ask me what do I do, I'm like,
Yeah, I do that sometimes too. Besides being
I'm an artist.
a mental artist.
I'm into fashion. I'm into health and wellness, information. Metaphysics, and I lecture. I teach. I do art. To me, it's all art. I do music. To me, it's just art. It's just different facets and expressions. When I cut my hair or when I get my hair cut, it's art. Everything's art.
Right.
So I would say that I do art.
Okay.
I do art. Even connecting people. That's
It's an art.
It's art. To me, that's a swirl of different colors.
Yeah.
And whatever, something's gonna come out of that. And to me, that's gonna be a beautiful piece of art.
Right.
So yeah, it's like you're introducing paint to canvas,
Yeah.
and then you're just gonna get a picture. So yeah, it's all art.
Yeah.
So maybe you want to see y'all on camera together because both y'all have on blue.
Right.
So ladies first, explain
Yeah. What is your affinity towards the color blue?
Well, The reason why I wore blue and purple is because it's Domestic Violence Survivor Month.
Okay.
And I am definitely that. I'm a survivor of domestic violence.
Okay.
So I did pink. Well, first of all, I created my own hairline. I went to China last January, February to cut through the middleman. I was tired of all that.
Right, you went straight to the plug.
I went straight to the plug, got the plug, came back, and decided it's Dream Candy for hair. So whatever your color is, I can create it.
Okay.
So
you
this
do
color,
these tints, these.
And I mentor younger, like my assistant did this color. So I helped him plan it out, how he's gonna do it, buy all the products.
Flesh it out, right.
So that's what this color is about, domestic violence.
So when this month is over, you gonna?
Oh yeah, I'll flip to another color.
Another color.
Yeah. I was like,
this ain't your old.
I have short blonde hair.
Okay.
Natural, salt and pepper.
I like the blue though.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean that's what I do.
Yes.
I love to be innovative and. Wearing this blue hair, sometimes it just sparks conversation. They like, are you an attention giver? Getter? I'm like, yeah, because I might need to get the attention of somebody who needs help.
Right. You have a wonderful explanation that you just shared with me. I often see young ladies though that 1 minute or week or month they got one color, and then the next week or the next month they got another color.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Do you think that it might be those same reasons that you're speaking about, that it might be a situation with attention, or they Geminis, they got more than one person in them? Like, what do you think it is?
Well, since I've been in the hair business so long, I think some people just like change.
They like change.
Yeah, and for me, I like to encourage, incite change, because some people, they just get stuck and that's all they know. They're afraid of change. So I say, well, let's just try a little color, or let's try just to expand who they are. And sometimes you can discover your aura, around you, depending on what color you're wearing.
That's interesting. I never heard that.
Yes. So I like to use color to excite change and to help people, depend on what their spirit is, to either brighten them up or you have to tone it down.
Right.
It depends what you're into.
Right. So case in point, right? Today I'm wearing blue. I mean, my name is Blue Pill, so I wear blue a lot, but I don't wear blue every day. And today I'm wearing blue because blue is the color of Mondays, because blue is the energy that's synonymous with the moon.
It is.
You feel me?
Yeah.
Just like tomorrow I'm gonna wear red.
Oh, okay.
Because tomorrow is Aries, it's Tuesday. It's the day of Mars. Monday is the day of the moon, so the color's blue. So I wear blues on Mondays to resonate, right, and correspond with the energy of the day. You know what I'm saying? So I'm being intentional, in that particular regard. And the reason I gravitated towards the name more so is it was synonymous with sleeping and the sleeping state and things of that nature, and dream state and stuff. And that's why I love dreaming. I'm a daydreamer, and some of my best ideas come in my dream state and things of that nature. So when I had to decide which pill I wanted to take, I was like, I want the blue pill. So that's why I like blue. Even though, like you said, I got
my salon. My whole salon was blue. I did everything out of denim.
Wow.
Because I want everybody to feel comfortable.
So your walls were denim? That's dope. I just was envisioning. I just got a cool feeling. I was like,
my chair in the front, my big comfortable chairs were all denim, because sometimes I believe the name celebrity is too much hype on it, and I just wanted everybody to come to Candy for Hair to
just feel right
and happy,
feel at home.
And I set the intention there, and it was always that. Never no drama. Dope. Everybody felt comfortable when they came there, and it was just a good environment.
That's a dope strategy. I gotta see, what I'm saying? I gotta look around and see if I can find anywhere that has denim wallpaper and see what that feels like.
I bought rolls and rolls of denim and SR22. I mean, no, that was F something 22, and we actually sprayed the
cut.
walls,
Right.
measured, cut, paste, slicked. We did all the work ourselves. Myself, my sister, and my kids.
Interesting.
Yeah. So we were off for paint for a long time. Glue.
What's next for Candy?
Well, what's next for Candy is, of course, we're on this journey of panels. We're doing these panels. I actually have a wig line out that I'm doing now, Dream Candy for Hair. I have a braid book because I've been braiding hair forever. It's basically everybody I've braided in the industry 18 years and plus. So it's a lifestyle, my braid book, from set work, hair, fashion, and all that from A to Z of what it takes to be a successful braider. I actually put my heart in this book for all the young girls in the projects and who also gypsy kids and who are gifted with their hands. If you too follow your gift, you too can travel all over the world through your art. That's why you said art.
Yes.
So I've traveled all over the world braiding
Doing your
everybody.
art, right.
Doing my art. So I wanted to leave that legacy. She was asking about leaving a legacy, leaving something for people, for my nieces and nephews, and this is what my aunt left for us. All the hard work, even my kids. This is my mom's hard work that she left for us because books are important. It's history. Yeah, and I've always been a history buff and art buff since arts and science, since high school.
See?
Arts and science.
Arts and science.
That's what's next for Candy. And also, hopefully Life After the Feds, TV show, joining Taisha in that. And I'm finally stepping from behind the chair in front of the camera.
Okay.
I don't know what that's going to end up like, but
I'm ready for it.
I'm ready for it because I've worked with everybody that's number one.
Right.
So I used to think, why am I here other than doing hair? But it was actually for that push.
Right.
So I'm looking forward to that also. And growth. Doing that.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Lastly,
Yes.
Give us an understanding of the jewelry, man.
Oh yes. Tell me about your journey.
Oh.
It's also
okay.
king. I see that.
Yes. This particular piece, this is Ra on the solar disc.
Yes.
Crossing over, and the funny thing is, this particular piece, I commissioned this piece to be made, and I wanted to get it done before I had a trip to LA. This was in early March, but it wasn't done. I get back to New York after Nipsey transition, and I was ready to come out here to go to his funeral, and it was ready at that time. So I got an opportunity to wear it, and the jeweler, brother named Baba Heru, he made this for me, and he said this would be the perfect piece to wear to the brother's event because, this deals with the prophecy of the Kapernick Egyptian prophecy was dealing with us being in the West, in the far West. They said it's going to be in the far West, and this is the Western Hemisphere. This is the furthest west of the Western Hemisphere is LA. Right. So you got the Western Hemisphere and you got the country of America, and the further west in the Western Hemisphere is LA.
Right.
So to me, this is the Asar crossing over with his solar disc into the land of where, people go when they transition. They call that a mentor. You know what I'm saying? So that's what this particular relief is about. This is it's an underworld relief, but not in the sense of, hell and what have you. It's about when the soul crosses over to transform itself to its next magnanimous phase of existence. And that's what we was talking about here with the brother Nipsey, and how he came into his magnanimous duty pretty much after his life.
Right.
The work that he really did on those extra planes, he did from the grave, and that's a beautiful thing, and something that we rarely see in our lifetime.
Right.
The effectiveness of it, the wave that it creates.
Right.
And lapis lazuli, this is a royal ring. In Egypt, they wore this particular color. This lapis lazuli, that's actually why they named royal blue after the stone.
Right.
And amethyst is one of my favorite stones. And this is a copy of Lalibela, which is an ancient Ethiopian Coptic church that was built out of a mountain It's a stone church that was built out of, they said the angels built it in a day or something like that. Because they can't explain how else you build a church in the ground. They carved it in a mountain in the ground. And yeah, that's what this represents, you know what I'm saying? So this is our people in there, our greatness.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's it.
That was great.
All right. Peace. Thank you. And thank you.
Oh, for sure.
Thank you.
For sure.
Hey, Brother Rich, you inspired this taping, bro.
Indeed.